meeting there that has been taking place between the president of Taiwan and Nancy Pelosi, and Shinto is with us to get his opinion on what exactly does it mean, especially for China, because China is watching, United States is aware, Taiwan is very much aware what's happening at its borders, but Taiwan has said that it is committed to a long-standing relationship with the United States. Shinjo.
Yes, Pelosi's speech was very, very important, and she made several important points. The first, she said that Taiwan was one of the freest of societies, which is a way of saying that you are a free country and China certainly is not. The second point she made was a reference to the Tiananmen Square. Now that again, while it happened a long time ago, the reference to the massacre is again a clear point made by Nancy Pelosi, saying that, look here, China is a country where Tiananmen Square happens. It does not happen in Taiwan. The third point she has made is the close tie she is looking forward to and continuing with Taiwan. She is saying we will continue to have great economic relationship, we respect Taiwan, and so on. These are clear messages, not just for the Taiwanese people, but for the people of China, but for the leaders of China, saying that, look here, Taiwan is a free society. You are not a free society. You have blood on your hands, the blood of your people on your hands. Remember Tiananmen Square. This is what Nancy Pelosi is saying, and this is really the important point to note here. Now, of course, we have to see what China does, because this is one of those very critical situations in history when two countries, two great powers, America is a military and economic superpower, China is close to being an economic superpower and a distance away from being a military superpower. Not a military superpower, certainly, but a military power. Now we have to see what China does. There have been parallels in history, though they have been far more critical. I'm referring to the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962. I'm referring to the Berlin blockade of the 1940s. These things have happened. Now, how does China and America deal with each other? Their last conversation between Biden and Xi Jinping was a disaster. What does China do now? What does America do now?
That's right, because Shinjo, China's statement said it has warned of strict action against the United States. In fact, it has also gone on to say that US will pay the price, and this was even before Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan. Now that she has visited and now meeting the president, in the statement that she has issued as well, quite clear that China's threats are not going to stop her. She's already there in the statements that she has made as well. So now it's over to China on what would happen next.
Yes, undoubtedly. There are two or three things that the Chinese could do. There can be diplomatic pressure, there can be economic pressure, there can be even military pressure. As far as diplomatic pressure is concerned, you can imagine the Chinese ambassador can be called back, the American ambassador, Burns, can be told to return. All these things are entirely possible. The second thing that could happen are economic pressures on America. China has bought billions and billions of dollars because China has a very positive trade balance vis-a-vis America. So if that is so, then the Chinese have the upper hand economically in some ways, because what China can do is flood the world market with dollars. Then the value of the dollar will come down, and that will hurt America. So these are things that China can do, and we do not know what China will do. Thirdly, militarily, we are not expecting an invasion of Taiwan, but there can be other little pinpricks in different ways. There can be more Chinese planes over the Taiwan Straits. There can be more ships, Chinese warships in the Taiwanese area. There are other friends that America has in that area, whether it's Japan, whether it's South Korea, whether it's the Philippines. China could put military pressure on all of them. So these are things that we will have to wait and see what China actually does.
Right, because that's the point there. And what about India there? Because if we talk about also the proximity between China and Russia, Russia in a way come out has said that when it comes to the sovereignty of the nation, that cannot be compromised. So a tit for tat, what China has not been doing for Russia, Russia has also not been doing there for China.
Yes, Russia, because of the situation today over Ukraine and the way the West has very strongly condemned the invasion of Ukraine and taken action, Russia and China have got closer and closer. But as far as America is concerned, that is a done deal. That is widely expected. America and the West expect a close relationship between Russia and China. But that does not make any difference for India. India will continue to have a close relationship with Russia, at least in the areas of defense, space, and civilian nuclear energy. But India will also have a very close relationship with the West. That will not change. As you know, India is part of the Quad. India is working on a free trade agreement with the European Union. India and America and Japan and Australia are part of Malabar, the naval exercise. All that will continue. What we know is India and America are working close together in many areas of defense. So those things will not change. But as far as India is concerned, the issue is that China is under now considerable pressure. And China has to look towards its east, not towards its southwest, towards India, but towards the east, towards Taiwan, and towards where the American aircraft carriers, these are super carriers, this is a carrier group carrying nuclear weapons, are.
That's right. Srijay, in fact, talking about the visit, this also comes at a time when the relations between US and China had already been strained in the last few months as well. But now with this meeting, China having given its warning as well, but even then the visit taking place, of course, the White House had carried out its own clarification on that visit. But any kind of a strain in relationship between the two of the largest economies in the world, it's going to affect the other countries as well, invariably.
Oh, of course there will be. But it's got to a stage with America gradually trying to pull out its investments from China, trying to cut the cord as far as trade is concerned. It will hurt America, it will hurt China. There is no dispute about it. And as I said, the last time Biden and Xi Jinping spoke, it was a disaster. There was no forward movement. There was nothing. In fact, Biden was even warned by Xi Jinping. So the situation is very stark. It's very clear that China and America are on a collision course. Whether it's diplomatic, whether it's economic, perhaps in the future even military, we do not know about the third option. But the first two are definitely on the cards. And it's happening as we speak. So it will affect the world, undoubtedly. But luckily, we hope that India is sufficiently insulated. India has good ties with the United States. India has good ties with Russia. India has very good ties with many countries in the neighborhood, particularly the ASEAN countries. So hopefully, India will be insulated from this, even though even today, India, one of India's biggest trade partners after all this is China.
Yeah, but if we talk about, asserting pressure there, United States has done it when it comes to, siding with it and isolating Russia. India did not do that. But when it comes to asserting pressure, when it comes to the Taiwan issue, when it remains to even recognizing Taiwan, so India's position and standing here, with effect to what China has been doing at the borders, what does it mean?
Well, India has said, India was one of the first countries to recognize the People's Republic of China. India has no relation with Taiwan. That is at the diplomatic level currently. India and China have a relationship. India has an ambassador in China. The Chinese have an ambassador in India. About that, there is no doubt. India does not recognize Taiwan. What India has is an office in Taiwan, in Taipei. So do the Taiwanese. They have, it's called an economic and social and cultural office. It's not a diplomatic relationship.
Right.
And regardless of all this, continue to be like that. We will have to see what China does, but India's relationship is currently with China. In fact, America recognizes China, but not Taiwan. That point is very clear. The one China that America recognizes is in Beijing.
Okay, all right. Shinjoy, thank you for joining us with your inputs on that story. We're slipping into a short break here. We'll be right back with top news and updates. Do stay with us.